Welcome to 100 Yards Football. Today we have NFL history. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl 22 champions, the Washington Redskins. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it. We'll surely appreciate it here at 100 Yards of Football. Before we get started this morning, I would like to give my prayers and my blessings to a gentleman who's been part of 100 Yards of Football the last 3 months, Mr. James Timmons. Outstanding young man has been a very serious part of 100 Yards Football and has did an excellent job. I want to send out my love, prayers, and blessings. His father passed yesterday. We're praying for you here. We know him as Jimmy here on 100 Yards of Football. Now let's talk about the Washington Redskins. The 1987 Washington Redskins. Special football team, man. And I remember I watched this Super Bowl, and I'm winning the Redskins Super Bowl 22 in Philadelphia, Tennessee. My daughter at the time, Ashley Turner, was about she wasn't even quite a year old. Because she turned a year the next week, which was February the 3rd. And I was watching it in my beautiful, a woman I still got a lot of love for, Mrs. Barbara Kerr. And I was down there with two of my nephews at the time, Josh Kerr and Brandon Kerr. They were little kids at the time. And Miss Kerr had cooked a beautiful spread. See, this is a lady that know how to cook Southern style. And you know what? Miss Kerr had something that I love. See, I love bread. And she had some great, serious butter biscuits. And I watched that whole Super Bowl game down there at the time with my ex-wife, Donna Turner, who's went to glory. But it was a great feeling. And along with my brother-in-law, I still consider my brother-in-law, Mr. Danny Kerr. And we sat there and watched that football game, man. And the one thing that stuck out to me, the Denver Broncos came with the All-American kid, John Elway. And if you was listening to everybody for that game, there was no way that Denver was going to lose that Super Bowl. But I'm going to go back into the season before I get back to talking about the Super Bowl. The 87 season for the Redskins had a lot of adversity. But I give kudos to the head coach, Jake Gibbs, for how he handled it. They started out with Jay Schrader at quarterback. Jay Schrader was up and down. End of the year completing only 48% of the passes. Doug Williams was coming in, game out, game in. But the Redskins still ended up as the third seed, 11-4. Then it was the strike season that played an important part for only 3 games. So, based on that record, the replacement players had a real serious contribution to the Redskins winning Super Bowl 22. And I want to honor some of them players today that played as replacements. Ed Rupert as the quarterback. Tony Robinson as the quarterback. Lionel Vitale, who's now a big-time scout with the Dallas Cowboys, as the running back. And Steve Martin, who played on the defensive line. Kudos to you, gentlemen, because the Redskins went 3-0 as y'all being the replacement team. But what stuck out to me about the 87 team was the man from Grambling State University, Doug Williams. Came in the league with Tampa Bay, had got him when he was with the Buccaneers to the NFC Championship game against the Rams back in 79. Things didn't work out. Left Tampa in what I want to say, not a good way. Really came to Washington really as a backup. Had a yo-yo season. But what I liked about was his perseverance. And Jake Gibbs had a spirit in him, told him, I need to roll with this man before we go into the playoffs at my quarterback position. And see, Jake Gibbs was on that staff in Tampa back when the Buccaneers took Doug Williams, number 1 overall in the 7-8 draft, when John McKay was the coach. And it was just some inkling that he had. Well, Redskins went into the playoffs. They had that big win over Chicago. Doug didn't have a great game, but he had two key plays in that game. He had a 43-yard pass to Gary Clark. Then he had a 7-yard touchdown reception to Gary Clark. And he had a little help from Darrell Green. The state of Texas finest. Texas A&I had a key punt return in that game, and Washington defeated Chicago 21-17. And then coming back, the Redskins got a home game. And they didn't have to face the San Francisco 49ers, who's the number one seed, because they had got upset by the Minnesota Vikings the previous week. One of the greatest playoff performances ever put on that stamp by Anthony Carter out of Riviera Beach by way of Michigan. 10 receptions, 227 yards that game, 22 yards to catch. He was unbelievable. Then coming back, Washington and Minnesota in the NFC Championship game. Watch that game play by play. Tremendous football game. And it came down to that goal line stand. Minnesota had 4 shots inside the 4-yard line. And that defense stood up. And that year, that defense was elite. The D-line. Dexter Manley, Charles, man, and Dexter Manley playing at a high level, 18 combined sacks. But what made that defense special, I'm sorry, was the secondary. Darrell Green, first team All-Pro, Texas A&I. And I'm going to say this with some proudness. I'm going to say this with some conviction. The other corner that was All-Pro that year, he was a safety at Ole Miss. But he was 6'3", 188 pounds. And I went to school with his brother, middle school, Sherwood Junior High. His brother was Kevin Wilburn. And my man also grew up at Orange Mound. And he had legacy behind him and royalty because his father was the best football player that ever played in Tennessee State football history by the name of Jesse Wilburn. My man, Barry Wilburn. He was an All-Pro on the other side. And that was the key to Washington getting to the Super Bowl that year. Now let's go back to the Super Bowl game. As I told you, I was in Philadelphia, Tennessee, enjoying some of them good honey biscuits with some of that maple syrup, drinking a tall ice Coke. Then I might have chased it with some cognac. And I watched that game unfold. Denver comes out, first possession. Ricky Nattiel goes 60 yards on my boy Barry Wilburn. All of a sudden, Denver up 7-0. That's when they had the 3 amigos. Mark Jackson, Vance Johnson, Ricky Nattiel. Then Denver comes back down after Washington goes 3-0, kick a field goal, it's 10-0. And Doug Williams get hurt. I can't remember second quarter. And he might not finish the game. But you know what? It's called perseverance. Eye of the tiger. Not listening to what somebody else is saying. Having that spirit in your heart. Doug Williams had that Muhammad Ali moment. Cassius Clay. He had that Jim Brown moment. And what did he do in the second quarter? Washington, 35 points. Ricky Sanders, you hit him with an 80-yard bomb. Gary Clark, touchdown. Clint Dittler, touchdown. 5 straight possessions. And Washington goes into halftime 35-10. And you know how the game ended, 42-10. Doug Williams voted MVP. The first black quarterback to start at quarterback in Super Bowl history. Kudos to you, Doug Williams. And that Washington Redskins team, I'm a diehard Dallas Cowboys team, but I'm sorry, that team was special. Players all over the place. Todd Bowles, we know what he's doing in Tampa Bay. Alvin Walton, Money Coleman, Dale Grant, Dexter Manley, Charles Mann, the Hogs, Joe Jacoby, Mark May, Russ Grimm, Joe Bostic, Ricky Sanders, Gary Clark. Unbelievable performance by a quarterback that persevered. That's what will stick out of my mind about the Washington Redskins, Super Bowl champions 22. And of course, the most greatest memory I remember. After I watched the game in Philadelphia, Tennessee, I went back to Lenoir City, Tennessee, with my wife and my daughter, who was finna turn 1. Didn't have to go to work the next day in our apartment. So I watched Good Morning America. And they had all the Washington Redskins players that had played a very big role in their winning the championship. And on the set that morning, I believe they had Dexter Manley, they had Charles Mann. And then I can't remember who the other 2 players were, but I know one player they had was Barry Wilburn. And he was rocking the shades, baby. He was rocking them glasses. And when I watched him, the pride of Memphis, Tennessee just came out, man. Because Barry had that swagger, man. And he was representing the 901 on Good Morning America, baby. Super Bowl champions 22. The Washington Redskins. A kid from Orange Mound, all pro. Bling, 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 bling. So my final words about the Washington Redskins Super Bowl 22. And this is for Doug Williams. And I look at his career. There was a song by The Undisputed Truth. And when I think about Doug Williams and his performance, and him being the first black quarterback, I think about this. And I think about these words. Undisputed truth. Smiling faces, smiling faces, smiling faces all the time. Beware of the pat on your back. It might hold you back. Jealousy, envy. It don't matter, because Doug Williams stood on that podium. Super Bowl MVP, 340 yards passing, and 4 touchdowns. Smiling faces, smiling faces. Beware of the pat on your back. It might hold you back. If you like the video today, please comment and share it. We surely appreciate it here at 100 Yards of Football. Thank you to my producer, Mr. Logan Landers. I'm Vincent Turner. And please stay safe during the holidays. Doug Williams, Barry Wilburn, the Washington Redskins, Super Bowl 22 champions. Y'all be blessed.